trains on the loose. One day, James was at the docks when Percy came along with some trucks. He looked very tired. "I should be more careful if I were you," said James rudely. "You could hit someone with these trucks." "Rubbish," said Percy. "I've been very gentle with them and nobody's got in the way with my shunting." "Well, make sure nobody does," said James, and went back to work. Later that day, James was resting again. His driver and fireman had gone for a tea break. Percy came along the line shunting some more trucks. He didn't know James was right in front of him. And then there was trouble. Percy pushed his trucks into James and his wheels began to move. "Whoa!" gasped James. He was speeding down the line. "Oh no!" said Percy. "Look what I've done!" James's driver and fireman saw James running down the line. Percy's driver and fireman said that James's driver and fireman could climb inside Percy to chase after James, and so Percy quickly left his trucks in the siding and chased after James. James was going faster and faster on the line. He had no driver and fireman to stop him. "I can't stop!" cried James. "Help! Help!" There was worse to come. Thomas was just up ahead having a drink at the water tower. He didn't know James was on the same line as him. Suddenly, James saw Thomas ahead and he couldn't stop, and he ran right into Thomas, and now he was in trouble too. "Help!" cried Thomas. Thomas's driver and fireman saw James and Thomas running down the line. Just then Percy arrived. His driver and fireman said that Thomas's driver and fireman had climbed inside Percy to chase after Thomas and James, and then they set off as fast as they could. Thomas and James couldn't stop. Toby was heading out of Elsmere Station with Henrietta when suddenly he saw Thomas and James running straight towards them. "Oh no!" cried Toby. He reversed back into a siding and the linesman switched to points just in time to let Thomas and James past. Then Toby saw Percy too, and he carried on chasing after Thomas and James. Edward was on his way to the works when suddenly Thomas and James raced past him with a cloud of steam. "Oh, bother!" groaned Edward as Thomas and James raced out of sight. Edward was covered in mud. Just then Percy arrived. "What happened to you?" he asked Edward. "Thomas and James raced past me and blew mud all over me," said Edward. "Which way did they go?" "They went that way." "Thank you," said Percy, and they set off once again. The signalman phoned the big station ahead about Thomas and James. Thomas and James were on the main line. Then they saw Duck pulling a long, slow train. "Help! Save us!" said James, a quick-thinking shunter did just in time. "What was that?" asked Duck to himself. Meanwhile, Percy was speeding to the rescue. "I must catch Thomas and James, I must!" Thomas and James sped past Gordon. As they came towards Knapford Station, the station master changed the points for Thomas and James to stop at the buffers, and so Thomas and James sped right into a siding. Thomas banged into some buffers and came off the rails. James pushed Thomas and he came off the rails too. The engines were so relieved that they had stopped. Just then Percy arrived. "I'll get you both back on the rails," he said, and he pulled James back on the tracks, and then it was Thomas's turn. That night the three engines were resting in the shed. "I'm sorry I bumped into you earlier," said Percy. "It wasn't your fault," said Thomas. "It was an accident." "You didn't see me with those trucks you were shunting," said James, "and I'm sorry I was so rude to you." "But a good chase was very exciting," said Percy, and they all talked about runaways all night long.